Today's sponsor of the Vision Quest podcast is 920 Hat Company. Leather patch hats are in, and 920 Hat Company is here to hook you up with your very own custom hat. All patches are lasered on top-grade genuine leather and on popular brand hats like Richardson and FlexFit. Whether you're looking to show off your business or want a one-of-a-kind hat for yourself, 920 Hat Company can do it all. All the hats are handcrafted right in the Fox Valley, but worn across America. With over 500 hats in stock, they guarantee fast turnaround times. Honestly, Liam, looking at these hats, solid, right?
Yeah, they're pretty. I like them.
I like that patch itself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one-of-a-kind stuff. I know his name's Trevor. He does great work. He's actually gotten I think we got a knit hat coming.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we got that coming. So we're really excited to have these guys on board as a sponsor. So get down to check them out on Facebook. I believe they're on Instagram. Check them out, man. They got the best hats, I think, in the Fox Valley, if not in the state.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So get down to 920 Hat Company on social media and check them out. All right, everyone. I think that the time has come. We've seen them around. We've heard a lot about them. It's the WI Wrestle boys. We got Jacob Raschka, and we have Nathan Arquinego.
No.
Come on.
Don't even try. It's RQ.
Yeah, Jake's. Yeah, I've seen you call me RQ a million times, and now live on the podcast or recording now. You want to go ahead and give her a?
I want to give it a whirl. I wanted to show the world that I can pronounce things, but I can't pronounce things.
So is everybody else.
Major fail.
It's Arquinego. It's Arquinego. No,
it's so close.
It's Arquinego.
Dang it.
I like Arkin, like family, ego.
Gotcha. Ego. Arkin ego. Gotcha.
Yeah, ego. Arkin ego.
Nice. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to help you out with another name pronunciation, RQ. It's going to be Skiba.
Oh.
Skiba.
It is Skiba.
All right.
Why? I asked.
I need to call him up. I should call him up right now.
Call him.
Just double check.
Oh, are we doing it again?
Call him, because I did it on the first episode we ever had. I called him up. His dad is.
Did you really?
Yeah, his dad is on the air specifically, so you can go to my first episode. You can take and it was before you even brought it. It was brought up on your show.
I take your word for it.
Then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Maybe it's me.
Well, it's funny because I heard you say it, Brad, and then I said it on our podcast, and Teague actually texted me and said it is Skiba, and I was like, yes. And then he's like, there's no way.
What do you want me to do? I was on the junior duels team, coaching him for a week, and myself, Coach Kittleson, Becker, everyone
said nothing.
The whole weekend, the whole week.
I think he's just done. He just doesn't care. As long as you don't call him Nolan, I bet he's fine.
Sure, yeah. He's good to go. He's good. Well, I mean, you get Crooks, you get Cook, you get all kinds of stuff, but last names are fun.
Fair.
We live in a funny state though too. We have some creative last names that go on around here. So
I mean, it mixes well with the towns.
Yes, it does.
Think about all the different town names. It's appropriate. It's only appropriate.
Exactly. Okay, so Jacob, RQ, you guys, I just learned a little bit about you guys. Jacob, you guys wrestled together quite a bit, but that was high school. What about youngsters days? What were you guys around each other in the young days when you first started? Were you 4 or 5?
We didn't meet till, I think it was actually when AWA was at St. John's for a summer.
Okay.
It was the first time that we met.
Coach Wagner. Yes. Coach Wagner
was
his first year.
I was coming into freshman year, 2 years older than me, Nate is. So we started wrestling there, and it was weird because we weren't same weight, not probably with maybe 20, 30 pounds heavier, but we drilled every day.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where our friendship started. And then here we are now.
Nice.
I kind of just go off that.
Yeah.
I didn't wrestle until the first year I wrestled with Jacob at AWA in St. John's. At St. John's was the first time I ever wrestled in the off season.
Oh.
And before that, I didn't start wrestling until I guess seventh grade. There was a stint in 6th grade with the Grizzly Club and Coach Randy Dusing. He knows this story all too well.
Yeah.
So I tried wrestling in 6th grade. They had practice twice a week. It's just like kids club. Really, it was supposed to just be fun, right? Fun. And it was. But but I didn't like it, and I quit halfway through this. So like I quit like a month in, or like maybe a month and a half in. It was only 2 days a week, so like I don't really count that as started wrestling in 6th grade. So I did that. I quit. Tried out for the basketball team in middle school in 7th grade. And they had 3 rounds of cuts, and I got cut in the first round.
Really?
So I got, yeah. Well, my true story, you could ask anybody. A lot of people remember this, the coaches that were there. They had like the guys that were on the bubble to be cut. They had them like play like a scrimmage.
Yeah.
And I got a steal on a guy that was kind of good that ended up making the team. I stole the ball from him, and I started dribbling on like a fast break by myself. And I swear to God, I did not know what to do. And from the 3-point line, I just threw it off the backboard, and it just went bouncing back. And that summed up my entire basketball career. And
that's the best.
And literally the very next day after that, Coach Chitwood knew that I tried out in 6th grade, and he's a math teacher at Parkview, and he got me to come to the wrestling room. So the very next day, I tried out and went to wrestling, and they don't cut people there, thankfully. So,
thankfully, yes.
So I say I started in 7th grade, and then going into my junior year of high school that summer was when I wrestled with Jacob at St. John's. That was the first time I ever wrestled in the not like your middle school month-long season or your high school season.
Yeah.
So
what about you, Jacob? Where did it start? Where did your wrestling career start?
I started in 2nd grade. My dad wrestled. He was like a coach at Waukesha North for a little bit, coached football.
Yeah.
And he always said, wait till 2nd grade till you start. Just started with the Pewaukee Club. Wasn't really good in youth, did a little bit of ringers. And then it wasn't till I quit football and baseball going into 8th grade to really focus on wrestling. And that's when I met Ben. And then it just kind of blossomed from there. I did all year round till I retired from my back. So I went hot and heavy. I quit the other sports, and I just put everything into the wrestling. And,
So when you guys met up finally, were you obviously you guys were big into wrestling, and it was something that you were really passionate about at that point. But what goals were you guys? What were you setting for goals at that point when you guys kind of ran into each other? Was it just state? Were you trying to go to Fargo and win? Like, because it sounded like Nate, like you were. It's not like you were fresh to the scene, but as far as the highly competitive scene, and going all year round, it seems like you guys are kind of both at the same time. What were your goals once you guys met up with each other and started practicing with each other?
You want to go, or I'll go?
You can go. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, obviously everyone knows Jake was, eons more successful than I ever was in high school and college, I would say. But I was newer to it. I wrestled a little bit at the McGuanago Club.
Yeah.
I started kind of, getting into it. Tommy Kolazinski, an old teammate of mine, he was dragging me to a couple of ringers practices during the season on Sundays.
Yeah.
And then after that ended, Nathan Smith, a lot of people know him from McGuanago as state champ.
Yep.
His family and his dad, they were really good to me, and they basically just dragged me to AWA and was like, here, let's go. So that's kind of how I ended up at AWA. And then my goals, I think maybe it was just being around those really good people, but I wasn't very good. And I actually said it in an interview one time after one of our dual meets, but my goals were to be a state champ. Okay. And then when I got to college, my goals were to be a national champ. And I think I did a right job trying to achieve that. I think reflecting, I obviously could have done more, but at the time you think you're doing enough. I know they had an Ironman award at AWA. So if you went 3 months straight of never missing a practice, you get an Ironman award. I went 3 months straight, 3 times in a row. So 9 months in a row, I never missed a practice. I remember coming home from Fargo. Instead of riding the bus home, I told my mom that we needed to drive so I could make the practice that evening after leaving Fargo that day. And I did. And I was like a puddle on the mat. I was so tired and exhausted. But I wrestled with Rudy Otters, and he was like, come on, man, you just got to get through practice. I practiced with Rudy a bit too. And that day I showed up. Coach Messerring was running practice. It was folk style now. And Rudy's just trying to, just help me along through practice because I was exhausted. But so I felt like I was committed, and those were my goals. But I never really got close to achieving them.
No. That's all right. I quit my junior year, so you did better than I did already. So it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Do you guys still do? They do an attendance award now. I don't think it's not the Iron Man.
They just posted on.
Yeah, who's like the leader of the attendance
on the socials.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Well, so with where you guys came from as far as wrestling, it sounds like it's kind of the same area. Did you guys ever? You're different sizes, but do you guys have memorable matches that you guys were kind of around each other for? Or, as far as I don't know. So it doesn't have to be like a Fargo match or something like that you won, but just something memorable that you guys kind of trained for and went together and you were there. Cause I mean, you guys are tight right now as far as everything you're kind of doing is you're around each other all the time. So was there anything even in that time, but as kids and competitors, were there things that you guys did together that were pretty memorable?
It was weird just because we were on the same high school team.
Right.
There was a little bit of overlap. But it was funny. I was actually just looking through my phone and there was a picture of me after I won state and it's me and Nate.
Nice.
So stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just through passing, I mean, Pewaukee usually dueled McGuanago quite a bit. We were always kind of in some tournaments together. So stuff like that. But it would have been a lot cooler if we were on the same team. It would have been sweet.
Right.
I think, Jake, as soon as I say this, I know you're gonna you probably agree. But there's two match. One he won't remember. The other one he definitely remembers. I feel like Jake, I believe at Battle on the Bay you had a 4-second pin, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I was there for that because McGuanago was there. And I remember you telling me at the tournament, you're like, I just got a 4-second pin. I'm like, what are you like? What? I'm like, how is that possible?
Yeah, right.
You're like, I doubled him, and he just fell right to his back.
Straight double to the back.
Yeah,
that was a big one. I remember that one because the mat next to me was Bennett Paulson, who was the returning state champ, and that was myself.
Yeah,
one of those.
I think it was your sophomore year because it would have been my senior year.
And I pinned the dude, and I looked over the other mat, and like he kind of looked at me, and I was like, "I'm freaking coming for you," because he was kind of. I hadn't won state yet. He was the state champ. I'm like, I'm beating him up today, and I ended up doing that in the finals. But I guess, I do remember that for
the other one that I definitely know you would remember was when Jake won his Fargo title.
That was sweet.
Oh, yeah.
I remember he had this giant smile on his face. He was coming up to me and he was like, I mean, he's the one that won it. He's the one that put in the work. But he comes up to me and he's like, he's talking about like, you're my practice partner all summer long, blah blah blah. And it was just like,
that's awesome.
I guess as it goes for a practice partner, it felt good.
I saw that picture of you with Ben after you won. I want to say it was Greco or something like that. But long hair, dude. You had some long hair, yeah.
Yeah, the hair was a journey. It was the end of freshman year before team state. All the seniors got like crazy haircuts, and I was one of the few freshmen that was starting. And I was like, I'm not getting I'm getting a mullet. So I got a mullet. And that morphed into sophomore year. It was a long mullet, and that was when you still had like the hair stuff. Like you couldn't have long hair.
Yeah.
At sectionals, Coach Kurt had to cut it with first aid scissors, my mullet. And then I was like, good Lord, like I can't be doing that. So I got a haircut before state my sophomore year, and then I let it grow. I said I wasn't going to cut my hair.
Yeah.
And then that turned into, now you're going to win state with a hairnet. So I was like, I'm going to keep this thing going. So I had the long hair. I had the hairnet for a season. It was more of a joke than anything, but it was kind of cool.
It looked like it worked, man. It was a
pain in the ass, though. It was a lot of hair.
So gross. It was so gross. I would pull on it in summer and practice. And
imagine. It was down uniform. My shoulders, so it was.
Yeah,
but it was cool having the flow, kicking it back. But that was funny.
Yeah, no,
good times.
That was a funny picture. I was like, wow, that is Jacob, because you kind of look at your face at first. It's like that's him with long hair. Yeah. That's him. So okay, so you guys are doing doing your thing, coming through high school. Recruiting time comes around, right? Now, Nate, you're older.
Yeah, senior.
Yep.
So I was a senior. Jake was sophomore.
Okay, so what kind of recruiting process did you go through? How was that for you?
So I went. I got recruited by a couple of Division III schools. I remember my dad helped me make a little highlight video, and I sent it out to some other schools. But so I went on a visit to Stevens Point, went on a visit to Oshkosh, looked at Whitewater, just like the WIAC schools.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with Coach Lewis this past spring, which was cool because Now we're friends, and Coach Lewis used to be the head coach at Parkside.
Okay, yep.
And I sent him when I was a senior in high school, I sent him a highlight video, I guess. Like, people don't really do that. Yeah. But what do I know? Like, nothing. And my dad has no idea. Like, we think it's like football sort of thing. So we made a huddle tape at the time, I think, and sent it out. And I sent him a thing. And he replied back very politely, because I was I was saying I was interested in coming to Parkside. Yeah. And he replied back politely saying, like, basically they didn't need me, which was totally fine. And then full circle, now I'm like, me and Coach Lewis have a relationship, and I brought it up to him one of the first times I saw him back last spring. And I was like, you probably don't remember this. And he's like, I do. He's like, I 100% do. And I was like, hey, no hard feelings. Like, I get it. Yeah. I totally get it. But I was very like delusional in this. Like, I sent that video to Nebraska. I had a relationship with Jake Soufflon. Still do. Yeah. And he was like, I think it was partially just like, he's being nice to me, but he was older and stuff. But he was like, yeah, man, like, you should, come to Nebraska, just be a walk-on. Yeah. And I was like, I thought about it, applied for school and stuff. Ultimately though, I obviously went to UW Oshkosh. So. Okay. So with that process that you went through, were you just kind of trying to just figure out exactly what you wanted to do with school as well? I mean, was that, so the universities you're looking at are they're pretty prolific as far as what they actually do at those schools. So yeah, what were you getting into? I had ideas. For a time, and kind of, to me, funny that we've come back to like doing this, Jake. But like at the time, one of the ideas that I had was like journalism.
Oh yeah.
That would have helped us a lot. You should have done it.
So I literally thought about journalism. I thought about education and stuff, which is ultimately what I did. But to be honest, when I got into wrestling, once I like was in, right, when I was hooked, I was all in, for better or worse. Okay. When I was looking at colleges, like I was like, how can I wrestle? How can I perform? Like, can I make the starting line? Like, it was about, that's what was going. My parents were like, about education. And I was like, totally like just faking to them. Like, yeah, I'm definitely thinking about like, education. Yeah. Like, where am I going? Yeah. So that's kind of how I picked school, to be honest. Okay. And then I didn't even declare a major until second semester of my sophomore year.
That's when you have to, though, isn't it? You have to have something.
Yeah. They told me I needed to declare a major, and I was like, okay, I want to be a history teacher. They're like, all right, well, what do you want to major in? I go, I'll major in both. So then I did both. Nice. Education's kind of like hard. It's not technically a major, but it's a major. They have a whole school for it.
Yeah, definitely. So, but you jumped into a pretty decent school. You had Coach Ayala there still, right? You were with Efrain.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, he had a pretty solid team. I mean, I would say a couple years of teams, man.
Couple at my later years. Yeah. In the beginning, there was, I think he brought in my freshman year, it was like 24 freshmen.
Yeah.
And I think we had like 8 total non-freshmen or something like that. So like it was all freshmen. I think there was 6 of us that made it all the way through.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, he brought in a lot of talent, and that's what he had to do he had to grow the program, and the first thing he had to do was get numbers.
Totally agree. Yep. Yeah. Well, because we were bringing these guys down there, and a lot of you guys are running practices down there, and that was the first time
at the youth club.
Yep.
At the youth club, TWA.
Yep. Correct. And that was when we really kind of got a taste of Coach Efrain. He was kind of like Kluskins, a lot of energy and just ready to.
He's a lot. And Coach E would have I don't think he would have any problem me saying this. I always felt like he was the man when it came to being a people person. Yeah. I felt like Coach E had, like any coach, there were some areas he really excelled. And I thought he was like he would be the perfect GM. Mm-hmm. He was good at fundraising. He was good at like everything. Yeah. And then a lot of times he would let Coach Rykoff or Coach Kleinhans, other people kind of like work the technique in the room and stuff. Yeah. And I thought that was kind of appropriate, because I thought like if you had to pick a strength and weakness, like that's where it fitted. Sure. But I have a great relationship with him to this day. I love that. And Jake has gotten to meet him now. Yeah. But I love that guy. So
yeah, Jake, he's definitely a cool guy. In the youth club that he had down there was, It was a lot of. I mean, you had Peters down there. Lucas
poppin'.
Peters. Yeah, it was. There were a lot of good kids. You had Herm. You had all those. You had Cook coming down there, and Liam, and all those guys were all coming down there. We basically were coming from, I think, Aviators at one point, just coming back and forth. But
he was in love with Liam. I remember that. He loved Liam. He was always having Liam show moves and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, all right, watch this guy do it. Watch this guy do it.
Yeah, he's full. Well, he's full of energy.
I
still.
don't remember that, but I don't remember a lot of
different
things,
kid.
Yeah, he's definitely gotten his toned down just a little more. But you show him an Xbox or you show him PlayStation 5, man, the kid gets fired up. Tell you what, So
yeah.
So now, Jacob, back to you. Let's climb out of your senior year here, kind of getting recruited. What was your recruitment like?
It was weird. So after I won Fargo, it was my sophomore year.
Yep.
At that point, I hadn't won state, but I was 2-time Fargo AA, and I just won the cadet freestyle title. And Ben was like, call Coach Smith. And because this was before like September 1st, they can call you, but that summer,
right,
you can contact the coach. So like Ben's like, call Smith, and I was like, as a 16-year-old, that's like a big like. I was like, geez,
hell yeah.
And this is when they're like number one in the country. They've got like they're loaded with guys, and they're like contending for a title. I was like, geez, this is pretty intense.
Yeah.
So I remember calling Smith, and I was pacing back and forth, and he was like pumped up. He was all excited, and obviously Ben had talked to him, and I just really fell in love with him. And then at the time, it was Coach Johnson and Clemson were there, and you had How to Shout was there, who had just won nationals in 14. So getting letters from guys like Jaden Cox, it was sweet.
Whoa.
And there's a few other schools that were kind of like talking to me, but I committed September 4th of my junior year. So it was like, I was like the third kid out of the whole junior class that committed.
Wow.
So I committed really early. I got on campus, took all my visits, and I just fell in love with it. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is where I'm going. A lot of people are like, oh, you're crazy. You committed too early and all that. But I really liked the coaches, and then having a bunch of guys that have been with Smith. I mean, you got Ben and Max, you've got Wagner, you've got a whole slew of guys that have done it with him.
Yep.
And nothing but great things. And since I stepped foot on campus, it was just an amazing experience. And that was kind of my journey. Me and Nate were actually just talking last night about academics. So the weirdest thing was
I gave him such a hard time for this.
So before I got good at wrestling, I wanted to be like a diesel mechanic. I just loved shop class.
There's a lot of money in that.
Grew up working on cars and stuff with my grandpa, and I just really enjoyed working with my hands.
Yeah.
And so like middle school and the freshman year, I was like, I'm just gonna do something like in the trades.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started getting better at wrestling, and I was like, geez, like I'm gonna have to like go to school for something too.
Yeah.
And I started off in agriculture systems management because you could work up to be a field tech. Like you could work for CAD or John Deere, and you could go out. And I was like, this is badass. I was like, this is like a dream. I'm like, I can go wrestle and do this.
I just said you were going to school to be a farmer.
So I'm sitting in these classes, and it's cool. We're working on tractors and shit. And I was like, but I don't really need a degree to do this. And I was like sitting there, and that was when I kind of really started falling in love with weightlifting.
Yeah.
I was actually transitioning to be a 97 pounder. So I was doing a bunch of extra lifts with the strength coaches, and I was like, damn, this is a lot of fun. I love being in this weight room.
Yeah.
So I switched my major to nutrition, exercise, physiology.
Ooh.
And that was my undergrad. Yeah. And then I actually got my master's in my 5th year, which was sports psychology and positive coaching.
Okay.
So big 360. And
yeah,
me
right.
And Nate, we're talking about that on the way home. We're like,
from cow psychologist to human psychologist.
I was going to be working on machinery to now I'm reading. It's just a big 360. So
that's pretty cool.
But yeah, it was, and it was cool studying stuff like that. I really do like the sports psych side of stuff. I'm a big weightlifting nut. I love all that. I like reading books and watching. That's my free time. I don't watch TV. I watch weightlifting videos, science stuff. So I'm kind of a nerd in that regard.
It's this weirdo right here too. He just watches guys that flex that have all that oil on. That's what he watches.
Bodybuilding, getting on
bodybuilding.
That was all over my thing. That was all over my stuff. It was Mr. Olympia. C-Bum won.
There you go.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
4 times.
4 times?
Yeah, he's
Steroids,
4 times.
man, steroids.
I'm old, so I don't. pay
they are,
attention to that
yeah.
shit anymore.
But it looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about the look. It's all about the aesthetic.
That's it. Because then you get the likes and the follows. That's what happens.
Mhm.
So you guys, it sounds. I mean, pretty unique stories as far as the kind of getting into the college process, college scene, and once it all started for you, Jake, we'll start with you here. What was college like going into that room? You were just coming out of high school, and obviously you guys probably heard it all the time. You probably tell guys all the time, going into college is way different than high school. You know,
Yeah.
if you think you're just going to have a easy time taking guys down or having a fun practice, it's probably not going to happen. So what was it like for you?
It was really cool. We had you have the 4 to 8 weeks of summer school where you're taking classes all day. We had like separate workouts for freshmen. So I think we had 5 freshmen, which is pretty
Really?
small. Only 5.
Interesting.
And we did a lot of workouts with just us and the coaches. So it was really cool to have that one-on-one. And then obviously you get thrown into the fire. You do the whole group practices with the team.
Yeah.
I mean, besides wrestling like the top dogs in the room, I did really well.
Nice.
I would say I had a pretty good freshman year or true
Okay.
freshman year.
Yeah.
I mean, I won a couple opens.
Yeah,
I placed at the open, junior open. I made the junior trials.
Okay.
So I was doing really well. And then it all came to a halt when I hurt my back.
Yeah.
So I was on the up and up. And I remember it was after junior trials. So you get off 2 weeks after school's out, and usually everyone goes home. And I was training for junior trials, so the open was in Vegas. So flew out to Vegas, and then I was like one of the 2 kids still in town.
Yeah.
So I was training with one of our heavyweights, and Coach Joe Johnson and Clemson were my partners, and it was brutal. And then we went to the trials, did okay out there, and then I was supposed to go to the U23 trials, and I was like, I gotta take a break. This is too much.
Yeah.
And then got into preseason that following year. My back started acting up. I was like, oh God. And in the moment I was like, I just got to tough it out. I'm really close to being the starter at 197. Like, this is my year.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of progressed. And it got to the point I'll never forget. It was a morning workout with Wyatt Coling.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday, and he snapped me, and I got caught like in a stance, and I was like this, like I couldn't stand up. My back was like locked.
Oh no.
And at this point I'd been getting leg pain and numbness, and I walked to the trainer. I said, dude, like there's something wrong. Took me to the doctor on Monday. I had a couple breaks, slipped disc. It was a mess.
Oh my God.
So that was it was doing this number, and then it went straight down.
Man.
And then after 2 long years of it took a year just to rest, and then I had surgery. I did try to come back, which I always told myself I wanted to at least give it a shot.
Yeah.
I actually did place at U23s the months after I came back on the mat. I wrestled a few opens, and then I was like, it's time to
After
to wrap it up.
Back surgery, you went and competed?
So I've
All-American.
Holy.
All-American, Jake, at U23s.
Yeah,
I took 8th place. So it's pretty funny. I was just talking to one of my old college buddies that transferred out of Mizzou. We were talking about this, and I drew Cam Caffey first round. And it was me and Keegan were sharing a hotel room, and I'm looking at the brackets, and I'm all fired up. It's first day back, whatever. And I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Cam Caffey. And I wrestled him really well. I tied it up at one point. He ended up winning the match. Scored a few takedowns on him.
Yeah. And
Smith told me after the fact, he's like, when you drew Caffey first round, he really thought it was just like I was gonna go 0-2. I was gonna be it. But then I rallied off a few wins, found myself on the podium. So that was really cool. So I'm glad that was kind of like
that's intense.
I had that comeback, and then I was like, you know what? I tried it. I have the rest of my life to deal with my back, which is still giving me some fits. So I was like, oh, I'll hang it up. And then I got to be a part of the weight staff, and there was after that, it was just great. So I'm glad I made the decision. But I had a really weird few years there.
That is, I mean, holy cow, just to pull an All-American off after back surgery, after having things fused and put together.
I wish I'm going to try to, I always show everyone this picture. Obviously the people listening can't, but I'm going to hold this up to the screen.
Yeah.
I've got 6 screws holding my back together. So if you can see that, it's actually on
Oh my
Instagram.
God. Oh, like, okay. So just to put in a description here, he's got two or three giant screws going in to hold things together. Oh my God.
S1 is your tailbone up to the L5, which is the lowest vertebrae. That's completely fused. They pulled that disc out. I have an artificial bone, and then I have 6 screws holding 3 levels of my spine together. And then I also have a bunch of cages. And I actually just went to the spine surgeon a couple of weeks ago to get a checkup. I'm having some hip issues.
Yeah.
And he still talks about how crazy my surgery was in terms of going back to sport. Like he's amazed that. So that made me feel good, even though I have a little bit of pain here and there.
Man,
kind of a medical. He said a medical miracle in terms of what he was able to do to my back. So I was like, all right, it's kind of cool.
Makes you feel bad for not getting out of work for a cold. You know, like, Jesus.
I'm sitting down for too long, and my back gets tight. I was like, oh.
I'm 43, so I'm there just because I'm old. But man, I can only imagine having that.
I don't even want to know what I'm going to feel like when I'm over 40.
That's what I'm saying. Holy cripes, man! Wow. Okay,
but so I definitely put a wrench in things.
That was that. So you got kind of sidetracked with it, but you came through, and like you said, you're part of the lifting staff at Askren, right?
I do a little bit of personal training on the side. Yeah. I interned with Mizzou Performance for a summer. I did a lot of stuff in the weight room with the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a few individuals that I work with in the weight room and just help them out. I get in there myself. So I still really love that side of things. And I'm glad I can still do stuff with it.
Nice. Okay. Well, RQ, you get into the into the college scene, right? You're UWO. What weight class did you start out at?
I started at 149. I did that my freshman year.
Little guy.
Yeah. So I did that my freshman year, pretty much most of my sophomore year. Sophomore year, I hated it. Not wrestling, but I hated it. I was on a full on yo-yo diet. I was not. And once like a week or two in, I feel like you get on that yo-yo diet, it like you just don't even break the trend. You just fall into the trap. And like for the season, I remember I was weighing like 170 usually, 172, and I would go down to 49. I remember when my season ended, I ballooned up to the heaviest I've ever seen myself on a scale ever. I was 179.8.
Oh my God.
That was a week later from my weigh-in.
Wow. You're almost RQ size, or you're almost Jacob size.
Yeah. I looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
That's all right. There, Dad.
It was bad. It was really bad. And I basically was like, when that happened, I was like, never again.
Yeah. That's rough.
And at that point too, like I wasn't enjoying wrestling.
Okay.
Come the end of the year, I was ready to just be done, which was the first time that had ever happened to me other than that little whole 6th grade stint. But I just wasn't enjoying it. And I said, I'm never doing that again. I said I was gonna go up a weight. I actually, this is not a knock on my team or anything, because I have great relationships with a lot of them and I enjoy them. But I think it was just more about Division III in general. Mm-hmm. I had me and Jake stayed in touch literally all through college.
Okay.
And we would talk regularly. And I remember at one point I was telling him that I was like, I think I want to transfer, because for people that don't know, I never touched alcohol or drugs or anything through high school, through college. Like, not even, people would be amazed. Like, I wouldn't even take a sip of wine at communion because I thought it was going to be bad for me.
Right on. Right on.
So I did not touch anything through my entire career. Mm-hmm. And I was frustrated that I felt like people didn't have the same commitment as I did. I could not get people to wrestle with me in the summertime. So that's why I would go home a lot, and Ben would, welcome the college guys back to work out. And that's what I would do. But I was frustrated. And I remember at one point I was upset because I was like, I want more commitment. I don't understand how people can't have a dry season, even like during the season, which frustrated me. And I talked to Jake. I was like, I think I want to transfer. Mm-hmm. And at that point I was like, I'm not going to start at a Division I school, but I'll at least get the commitment from that as teammates. And Jake's right. And Jake's like, hey, I mean, I remember him saying, he's like, you could transfer. He's like, I'm sure you'd be on the team. And I thought about it. I just thought about going to anywhere. I was just like, I need more buy-in.
Yep.
But that didn't, they're not buying in didn't affect my wrestling. I just wasn't, I just wasn't like some stud wrestler. I got better, and my junior year was definitely probably my best year.
Yep.
That's when I went up to 50. I went up to 157. Mark Chewinski was a teammate of mine. He was a three-time All-American, wrestled for West Dallas Central. He was wrestling at 65. So I was wrestling, which is great. I was wrestling at 57, and I was having a lot of success.
Good.
I beat a couple of ranked guys at the time that were like, they were in the rankings. Pinned one of them. I was like, things were good. I didn't qualify for nationals. And actually what happened was Mark was going to stay at 65, and then he decided that he wanted to go back down to 57. And I didn't really say much, but I was like, damn, like,
what, dude?
I'm rocking. Yeah. So I went up to, I had the spot then at 65. So we just did a switcheroo.
Okay.
So I went up to 65, and then, competed at regionals and stuff, but it just, it was different. I was significantly smaller. And I obviously didn't qualify. And then my senior year, it started out good. I beat that summer I went to U23s. I actually beat Michigan State's starter at U23s in freestyle at the time. And he beat Ohio State's guy. It was Tayshawn Campbell or something like that from Ohio State.
I think so.
Or something like it was. They wrestled 165. He was nationally ranked in Division I, and the guy that I beat had beaten him. So like that made me feel really good. My coach was really excited. Right. That I 5'd him in the match too, which is cool. There's still a video online. Thorpe was in my corner, Connor Thorpe, and some other people. And he's standing there, and I 5 the guy, and Connor's freaking out behind me, which is cool. But
it's awesome.
It was a highlight. It was a highlight for me. And then I was feeling good going into the season. I started out having a great season. I was wrestling 57. I was, it was my spot to lose. And I'll never forget this. I was at MSOE for their invite. My uncle was in town, who I never really see that often. And he was sitting there with me and my dad, and he's like, "You ever been injured before?" And I was like, "No, like, thank God I've just been blessed with like." Right. I was like, I've been blessed. The next match I went and wrestled, and I was doing kind of like the split sort of. The guy was put his head underneath, and like something like popped in my knee. And I finished that match, and I finished the tournament, but I couldn't walk the next morning, and I couldn't really walk after that even. And then I went to the doctor, and now I can never remember if grade 1 is worse or grade 3 is worse. I can't never remember for like tears in your knee. But I tore like 3 different things in my knee at the time. They were like grade 2. There was like a grade 2 tear, and then a couple of whatever one or 3. I don't remember. Whatever one was like worse. So I did that, and then I had a bone bruise, I guess, on my fibula head, just from like it just like snapped. So like my knee was all like jacked up, and I had to take time off. And then I came back, and I just I don't know what, it wasn't good. At that point I was like, I went on just like this losing streak, and it was the worst of like my entire like high school and college career. It was sad. I remember I was up 14-0 on a guy at the Concordia Open.
It's a lot.
Right. Yeah. And I was like taking him down for the final takedown to get the tech. It was like first or second round, something like that. And as I was taking him down, I got head thrown to my back, and that made, and I was fighting like crazy. And I ended up getting pinned, and I think that made it like 7 losses in a row or something. And I was out of the tournament because I just, again, those were losses in a row. And I remembered I went to the hallway. I didn't throw my headgear or anything like that. I went to the hallway, and I first time I've ever done this too. And I just like cried. I just sat there for like 10 minutes, and I cried. I didn't know why. I was just having such like a low. I think mentally, I put too much pressure on myself. I think mentally,
we've all been there.
Right. And like it hurt, and it really hurt because like I wanted it. I really wanted it. I didn't understand like, why wasn't it working? I had teammates, that would go out the weekend before and were having success. And I was doing all this practicing. It wasn't working. And it really, really hurt.
That sucks.
Yeah. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a wild sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer here either.
It's your story, man. It's your story.
It is. It's my story. And for a long, long time, even when like I coached with Coach Wagner up in Green Bay, and kids would ask me, they'd be like, how many, like, because I would coach them, like, how many times do you win state? And then I'd be like, kind of quiet. They'd be like, I never even went to state, or like, did you All-American in college? I'm like, no. And like it was cool. Maybe they thought I did. Maybe they thought I was like that good. But then like to me for a very long time, for years, and honestly, probably within the last years when I kind of started to really get over it, I was just embarrassed of talking about my own wrestling career because I never, in my head, like I never amounted to anything. And it was really hard to deal with for a while. It was really hard to talk about. Yeah. And so like when people would give me a hard time sometimes, and some of them would be my friends, or like some of the younger guys, they would give me a hard time a little bit. Like I would kind of rub it off, but I really I would think about it.
You go home and sit in your brain.
I would, yeah, I really would. And at some point, I don't know what it was. I think honestly, just like Jake and I have a great relationship together. We have a great relationship with Ben. He's kind of always been, he's always like stayed in touch with us when we were in college, stuff like that. Yeah. I think part of that helped me get through it. I think my dad did, just like, and they don't know that. It was just like perspective, them helping me have perspective on things. Yeah. Like, hey, you went through college, you made it all the way through. Like, that's to be proud of, sort of thing. So that was my career. I guess now I don't have as much of an issue saying it, but like it didn't amount to anything, So.
You had a good support system though too. I mean, like you're saying, you had your dad and Ben and your good friend Jacob, stuff like that. So I mean, if times kind of got down, you always have people to be able to talk to and kind of reason through it all and kind of get through it all. You know what I'm saying? And now as you grow, obviously you mature, you change, and you realize that the perspective is completely different than what it was at the time. I mean, yeah, it's important at the time. Obviously no one likes losing. I tell him this all the time. No one likes losing. Of course wants to lose. No one likes to lose. So it burns. It definitely burns. I can remember when that was a big reason why I quit. I couldn't handle the losing. I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't take it anymore. And I wasn't even out of high school. I'm still playing soccer with guys it was the same thing. Kind of goes with, I played soccer with guys. A lot of them didn't want to be there. They were just there to put something on their college resume, and to be able to get into school. It was frustrating, but we there's probably a good 5-6 of us that really wanted to win, and it's hard
Yeah, I know that feeling.
It's hard to kind of grow yourself as a person when the place around you doesn't want to grow the same way. And when you don't have that, it's hard to really drive forward, and it's hard to even push yourself even harder because you just don't have that around you. And it's frustrating. But now
I remember,
go ahead.
I remember a time in college. I think it was my junior year. We have like team meetings at the beginning of the season, things you introduce yourselves to the team, things like that. And then you would talk about like, what are expectations that we want as a team? And this would be like team only, no coaches. Would be like, what expectations do we want as a team? And I was an upperclassman at this point, and I said, no drinking, like dry season. And like I very remember this. Like people, like they giggled, they chuckled in the middle of the meeting, like, what are you talking? Like, yeah, literally, they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, if we want the goals that we keep talking about as a team and individually, like we need to cut out like the crap. Yeah. And they're like, that's just not possible. And I was like, what do you mean it's not possible? Like, to me, like everything, like in life, like everything, no matter what it is, it's like in my head, it's so simple. It's just a choice. Like, it's literally just a choice. It's what, do you want to or not? And to them, I was like, guys, it's literally just a choice. And they're like, no, like I have to, like, why? I have to do that to like stay sane. I'm like, what are you like? No, you don't. Like, just make a choice. Yeah. And that was like, yeah. No, it's motivators and stuff. It's
like
frustrating. That. Yes. People don't want it.
And it sounds like we had the same thing. It was like, it didn't matter what kind of fire you lit underneath those people. It's just, they had this view of how things can be and will be for themselves, and it's like, why do we got to do that? Because it's how you get better.
Well, and it's right. And it's interesting though, because like you think about it, like Jake, we kind of had this conversation last night in the car, but like you see people who have a lot of success and they don't cut out the alcohol, they don't cut out, whatever that vice is. Yeah. And they do it, and they're like, and they can say, well, look at the success I'm having. It's like, And then you're like, well, how do I argue with that? Like part of you is like, how do I argue with that? Then you say,
keep going.
Go ahead.
No, I want to hear it. Keep going.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, I mean, it's hard to argue with that bit, but then you're like, okay, look at the science sort of thing. The science says like drinking alcohol, getting drunk one night, like sets you back like 2 weeks or something like that on like your performance, and like it takes that long for it to get out of your system. And I remember hearing one time someone was like, I wrestle the best the next morning when I'm hungover. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, they're like, and I'm like, what do you mean?
There's always people like that. So
they're like, I wrestle so hard that they're like, I'll wrestle so hard that next day. So I try to show that I'm not hungover. I'm like, okay, I get your theory, but like, that's just a mindset thing. Like that's just doubling up.
Correct.
But that's where it all comes back to the mind, that it's all in the mind. It's such a crazy thing. I mean, I had a lot of those classes where you studied the body, and it almost made it harder to look at sports. Cause like, you know exactly what the calories do to you, hydration, all these outside factors affect performance. But at the end of the day, you start looking at all these different things. You got guys in the summer that are out there partying every day, and they come into the room and they're just kicking ass. And you can't, it's how does it work? But then you start to talk to them and like, well, just go out there and just let it fly. Like maybe it's the no care attitude. Maybe it's they just don't get, like, it's such a wild thing. And it's like, I feel like a lot of kids look too deeply into everything. When at the end of the day, you just got to go scrap. And it's truly different for every single person.
I think it has to do with, like you said, Jake, a lot with like that mentally, like that sports psych. Like there's so much that the human doesn't know about, like the human brain. Like, you know, it's just how it's just how you wire yourself, I guess.
Well, and that's the biggest thing is, especially with it being such duels are a team sport, but as far as it's all individual. So, I mean, you could be going into a duel and you're wrestling for a team that maybe, you know, I'm going to go do what I got to do to make sure I'm good, you know, but usually that's going to put your team ahead, you know, but if you don't have a team that you can kind of get behind too, that kind of brings you down individually. Cause you know, it's a mindset thing. It was, if your environment doesn't change around you, sometimes you got to change your environment. You know, that's the harsh reality. That's hard. It's the harsh reality.
That's hard.
Especially when you're comfortable and you've been around guys and things like that. And you're like, this doesn't feel like I should have to do this. But sometimes you have to just look at it and be like, nope, done, you know, got to go. So, but yeah, hey, what do? You guys grow. You guys have grown. I mean, obviously take a look at what you're doing. You guys started this WI Wrestle thing. So you guys wrap up, you know, wrestling as far as college goes. And what do you do right after that's all done? What are you guys doing? You just hanging out for a while, working? What happened once you guys got done with wrestling?
It's kind of crazy how it worked perfectly. We're both finishing up our master's degrees.
Okay.
Yeah, I graduated before Jake, and then I went and did I went to Parkside for the last 2 years. I did grad school and helped coach there.
Okay.
But it was weird timing because it was about fall of my senior or fifth year. Trying to figure out what am I going to do? Like what, in the moment I was going to be a strength coach. My cousin's husband is down at Texas Tech right now. He's the head strength coach for football. He was with LSU when they won the national title. So he's been around a lot of really good teams. He was like, we'll get you on staff down here. And for a second there, I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going that route. And then I was excited to get away from wrestling just because it kind of was such a rough few years with the back. And I was like, I'm ready to move on. But then I was like, damn, I really still want to be involved in some way. And then me and Nate start talking and we're looking around, we're thinking, and I know Nate wanted to do more of the coaching side. I was going to go the strength training. And then it just kind of happened where we're like, hey, like we're finishing up at the same time within a month or two. We're both going to be in Wisconsin. Why don't we try to do something with this? And we kind of just went with it. And I would say as of right now, it is rolling and it's only grown. It's grown pretty rapidly.
I mean, we saw other ones like when I was recruiting for Parkside, you would look at Illinois Mat Men or WI Wrestle when you're trying to look at, you know, rankings for other teams, right, or other states. And that's kind of, I think that probably helped us a little bit, not consciously but subconsciously, kind of just come up with this, you know, like, hey, what are you doing here? Like,
and you look at, I mean, like you said, the other states. I mean, growing up in high school, there wasn't a ton of that coverage.
Not like that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So there was Badger State for a while, which I used to watch.
There was Badger State, which is sweet. I remember there was a bunch of it was state recorded. Finals. And then obviously what Tom's doing with Wisconsin Wrestling Online, that was good. But like all these other states, it was just the next level. I mean, they were doing so much more. And I had a bunch of guys from all over the country that came to Mizzou and hearing their experiences with media. Yeah. And that's kind of where it shaped. I'm like, dang, we could kind of do what these other states are doing, do it in Wisconsin and just go for it.
Yeah. Like obviously there was like Wisconsin Wrestler Podcast. Those guys, I mean, they did like team coverage, talking about teams, all that other stuff as far as what Teague and those guys did. But yeah, as far as that though, I mean, even growing up when I was a kid, you had maybe Intermat or there was Crossface Magazine, possibly. I think there was a couple other things, but we had nothing. I mean, we were also coming from a time where we still had corded phones that hung on a wall. So that's kind of where we were at. But so with you guys getting together with this, obviously you're creating content. You're doing it. You have your own, it's weekly podcast that you guys do, right? Once a week.
Yep, every Wednesday.
Yep, once a week. And then
talked about going to twice a week. We did. We've talked about it a little bit during high school season. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, well, there's a ton. I mean, because I just listening to the podcast you guys have. I mean, there's a lot. It's hard to cover in an hour. You know, I mean, sorry. Yeah. So when you guys decided to commit to this thing, I know about Tony Hager. You know, obviously Tony's been doing this stuff like you talked about. WI Wrestle. I mean, he does stuff with Nebraska. He does stuff with Minnesota. He does stuff with, so he must, as far as I don't know him and I didn't like do any like background check on him or anything like that, but he must be kind of like one of the leaders in this content thing. You guys get a little help from him, right? As far as kind of, is it equipment, stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird how it worked out. The name, he had the name and when we went to get the WI Wrestle name on Rockfin, he had the ownership of it.
Really?
Because he was going to expand to Wisconsin. He was planning on doing it, and it just weirdly worked out. And
kidding.
Rockfin put us in touch with Tony, and it was like, change your name, or maybe we could do something together. And so he's kind of playing that advisor role.
Okay.
He's kind of helping us through the troubles and he's a great guy to have on speed dial when anything happens.
Yeah.
He's been really helpful, and me and Nate are like the owners, and he's kind of just that. He's a phone call away if anything goes wrong. We've been out to Des Moines.
Yeah.
He helped us get what equipment to buy, kind of all the logistical things that we knew. The ranking stuff, looking at watching wrestling, the technique side of things.
We knew to make content.
Yes,
we had no idea how to make
content. Right. So what microphone to buy, what camera to get, it was there was a lot of learning.
Yep.
And he was kind of helping us through all of that, and we're really thankful for him.
Yeah.
And he's doing really great things. So it's a good guy.
Yeah.
To be able to call up and say, hey, Tony, what's going on here? How do we get around this? So stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, obviously he's got, I would say, a conglomerate. I mean, just what he does, he's been doing it for a while. I mean, he's a good brain to have on board for sure.
Yes.
That's for sure. So you guys get this all together. So what was the first thing you guys put together? Maybe that was something that maybe you didn't necessarily put out, but it was something that you're like, hey, let's go try this out. Was there anything that you guys did first before putting something out?
We did a lot of stuff behind the scenes for a while. Prep.
We prepped for a couple months. Like the plan was to launch right after Labor Day.
We launched after Labor Day, but we started in May.
Okay.
So we did a lot of stuff behind the scenes of just figuring out what we wanted to do, how are we going to do it, how are we going to get the platform, how are we going to get the website built.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of time to work. That was why we were like, when I say we started in May, Jake and I weren't like, we weren't grinding 24 hours a day.
Right.
It was just like shooting text back and forth, like, hey, how can we figure this out?
Yeah, you guys. Well, it's brainstorming. Just kind of go
get
back
a plan.
And forth.
Yeah, get a plan. We had to get a plan together, and we were just brainstorming ideas to formulate it.
Yeah,
right.
And one of the things is when we launched, we didn't want it to be halfway done. We wanted it to be, here's the website, here's the rocking page, here's the top 50 pound for pound.
Yeah.
Here's our plan, here's our mission statement. We wanted this to be boom.
Yep.
We didn't want it to be like, well, half-assed kind of. We wanted everything to be perfect, and then we launched, and that's why we waited a little bit to do that.
So with the content you guys do, and obviously, you had to do some homework. You guys had to do some backside stuff. You had to figure out, cameras, things like that. Cause me looking into it too. I think I told you about, I talked to you about it too. I was like, I don't know that I want to drive all over the state and hang up cameras in places and deal with that kind of stuff. It's great. And it sounds like it's fun, but then sitting down doing this kind of stuff, like this is my gig, this is kind of what I do.
I'll be honest. Like last night, Jake and we were like, man, I am tired. It has happened a couple of times. Like we've driven up to Crass, trained, and I love Jordy. And Drake didn't meet him until we went up there, and he's like, we're leaving on the way.
I mean, that's a
hike. Like, I love Crass. He's like, I love Crass, but that's the driving is like it's exhausting.
Yeah,
you're just like,
it's hard.
Cow,
it's hard.
It's weird because you get there, you're all amped up, you're ready to roll. You call a dual meet, you're in that atmosphere, and you're like, you peak. And then all of a sudden it's like, damn, now we have to break down.
Yeah.
We have to pack up.
Yes.
Got to get on the road. And then it's like, holy shit, it's 10:30 and we're driving home. And it's like,
hour and a half drive.
Those are the hard things. So, but there's the highs and the lows to anything. And there's a few of them.
So when you guys talk about, like on your podcast, so you guys, I don't have anything I write down. There's nothing. I kind of know about what's going on with people, and I'll do like a quick kind of Google search, brush overview kind of things. But a lot of times I don't want to. I just want to kind of talk, ask questions. But you guys are talking about obviously information. You guys are giving about wrestlers, about their teams, things like that. So how much time are you guys putting in on the side when you're sitting down? I mean, obviously you're like you guys said, this is something that you want to do. This is something you guys want to create and create a business out of it. How much time are you guys sitting down at night? You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting down for 15, 20 minutes before I talk to someone.
More than that.
Take a lot of time. I would say
a lot of time.
Yeah.
We start planning podcast days out. I mean, we have
wow.
We have our script and that's just a podcast. That's not
right.
That's not anything else.
So you guys script it out?
No, we don't script what we're gonna say at all. We just script out. We put down the talking points. Like, hey,
bullet points.
Like we put on there, we want to talk about D1, D2, D3 rankings, and then we just kind of go through them. But the problem is, the last 2 weeks we're like, we're gonna do all 3 sets of rankings. Last week we only got through 2, and we forgot about D3. This week we forgot about D1. So like,
it happens. There's a lot to talk about, man.
Yeah. So we.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I got nothing.
Go ahead. So with that being said, you guys, with the content you create, you're on Rockfin, and I did a little bit with Joe Williamson and Grow Wrestling and stuff like that when I first started the podcast.
Yeah, Joe Flow.
Yeah. So just kind of knowing the backside of it, things like that. And what made you guys choose Rockfin in the first place? How come you guys didn't just create like a website to put stuff out on?
We have the website. It's built. It's there to see. But Rockfin was the best way to monetize our content and for us to make it a career. Yep. It's just like YouTube, but it's got a little different subscription system.
Yep.
And a lot of people still, it's weird, but there's just endless content on Rockfin, especially in the wrestling world. So, like if you say, for instance, coming up, Cheesehead, Illinois Matman streaming the Cheesehead. So if you are on Rockfin, you get access to that. Yep. If you're down, there's just a lot of stuff going on. So like coming up is Oklahoma State and Michigan battle at the ballpark.
Yep.
That's on Rockfin. P&L stuff's on Rockfin. Huge. So
you see all the other states rankings as well, like that, all that stuff's on Rockfin. You see and then like there's other people that aren't the wrestling states that are on Rockfin as well. So
right.
There's just a lot of stuff.
It's a lot, and it's not even just wrestling. I mean, there's other content that you can sit there and go watch if you want to. And I think so. You see these arguments. All right, we're just going to dive into it. It's not the first thing we want to talk about because we want people to listen. Right? There's this whole paywall situation going on. Right? Okay. So with you guys on Rockfin, you can make things premium or not premium, and it's whatever. It's the same thing as YouTube. It's you can make them subscribe to it, and that gives them access to do things. It's the same thing. So with what you guys have done, and look, like you said, you guys are looking to monetize things. You're looking to make money. I totally agree with what you want to do. I mean, it's the number one, like you guys just said. It's 10:30 at night, and you guys are unpacking or packing stuff up now, and getting ready to drive home in a blizzard. That number one, that just going there, there costs money.
Drive, baby.
Right. So you guys have to drive their number one. So that's time and gas. You know what I'm saying? So we as other content creators understand this whole concept. And I told you, Jacob, I can also see the grumpy old man's point of view of, well, it was free on Wisconsin Wrestling Online before. What am I going to pay for it now? I get it. I totally understand why he's asking. But now there's the other version here, though, too, where you guys, there is stuff out there that's still free. There are people posting their own opinions about this stuff. But at the same point, though, too, you know, and I believe in accuracy, right? I believe in things that look good, you know, that have some, in reading the rankings, and I know the guys that you guys are putting out there. There's nothing wrong with your rankings. Number one, I know that there's not a better, not better. There's rankings. They're out there. If you know wrestlers and you know the people, and you're not just sitting there looking to have your kid to be number one, you know what rankings are about. You know what I'm saying? So you know exactly. I can take a look at your guys' rankings and I can be like, yeah, I get it. I might have a question on a few, but why not? I mean, who cares if there's a question?
Which is normal.
Yeah. Exactly. So then, you know, obviously there's Zach, you know, who's got Wisconsin Grappler. He's got his rankings. I don't sit there and take the whole blah, blah, blah. One's better than the other. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to degrade the person that says that, hey, this is better, but you got to pay for it. It is better. That's your opinion. That's awesome. But at the same time, though, too, here's the free one. You know, you can quit bitching underneath the picture that these guys posted of someone and quit bitching about paying for something and just go find the free stuff if you want to. So that's where I come from on it. I think what you guys are doing should be monetized. I mean, it's what you're trying to do to make money. You know, it's what you're trying to do. And you're not putting out garbage. You guys are putting out good stuff, you know?
Well, we and Nate were just talking about this the other day. I mean, any money that we make is going right back into the business. I mean, we're constantly thinking, what can we do to make it better? I mean, we've only been doing this for a few months, but like, how could we just keep climbing to make it a better product, better for the live streams? So it's
add more value for other people.
And it's gonna cost a little bit more for us up front, but like we're gonna continue to push what we can do in terms of content, different ideas. I mean, a lot of cool things planned that we are working really hard, and it's you got to have some sort of
Go ahead. It was a couple weeks ago. I posted that video. I'd taken a video myself on a walk, and we were doing that giveaway, and we said comment what you like or what you and we didn't expect it to go nearly as well as we did. Because I tell you, we wrote down tons of those comments, tons of them, because we're like, this is what people want to see. So like, some of them, does it happen right away? No, right? Because we got to figure it out in our minds. But it's like, boom, like, okay, this is what people want, and we are going to figure out a way to continue doing that, or to try and integrate that in at something, like make that happen. You know, and
I think with that said, I think like you were saying, you guys got comments from people that you found out there are a lot of people that like what you're doing. So that's who you cater to. You know what I'm saying? Because those are the guys that could, because if they're like that, the people that are around them most likely are like that as well. So it's going to spread. It's going to go so like I look at it this way. Now Grayson Clark's got his picture sitting out with 50 people arguing about paying for shit. Like, for real? Like, come on, man. You know, and the other thing is too, is I noticed that people don't have the balls to say it when you guys post it, but when Wisconsin Wrestling Online posts it, then they'll complain about it. So it's one of those things where, and that's me from the outside. You know, that's just me seeing from the outside.
I know. It is what it is. For that stuff, in terms of, I don't know if you meant like Grayson, like his pictures on there. People I don't think that bothers him at all.
No, it doesn't. But it's just like, it doesn't have to be that way. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be
for people to comment that.
Yeah, just to sit there and just constantly just berate it with just negative, garbage.
Sure,
time, you know
I mean, but the reality is just like, it's just not the world we live in.
No,
so, and you know that, but like, and so Jake and I just try to, like, there's going to be people that are upset with you or like don't like something, but if we're focusing our time and energy on that, then we can't focus on what we are doing. So like, that's why we don't, like, we're not like, we see it in the comments. We're not going to reply to them. And we're really thankful for the people that have, like, they kind of like stood up for us, and those people know that they don't have to do that by any means. They don't have to stand up for us, but it is really nice of them to do that, and we are thankful for them. But just like some of the comments do, like, we'll look at them and then Jake and I are texting.
It's almost
like,
funny.
Yes, some of them make us laugh. Like sometimes people like someone was mad about rankings, and I'm sure Zach has gotten this too. But they're like, "Why is this person ranked above this person?"
Yeah.
You know, they'll beat them.
That's
it's
your opinion.
Like, rankings aren't the eye test. They're not that. Yeah, it's your opinion, and you know what? I may agree with your opinion, whether it's our rankings or pound for pound or something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like there's always obviously a gripe, but then people are always like, "Why is so and so above this person when they'll beat them?" It's like, you know, I might agree with you, but rankings don't work that way. They're literally off of results. They are strictly off of results.
Yep.
And that's how ideally in a perfect world, there's no bias in rankings because it's off of results.
Numbers.
It's not the eye test.
Right. Correct.
Yes,
So
it's numbers. It's literally numbers.
We're bringing up rankings. So we're moving right along. This is beautiful. I like how we're kind of segueing into this. So with rankings, I want to clear a rumor up. Do you guys do your own rankings?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It takes forever.
It's honestly, it makes me
said when we start.
What? Yeah. Go, Nate.
Oh yeah, I said when we like wanted to do this whole thing, the whole WI Wrestle thing, and we're like, we have to do rankings. I was like, man, dude, I'm not like, I was like, I just know it's gonna take a lot of time. Yeah. Once you start doing it, it takes 10 times more time than you thought. So like sometimes people will be like, well, this kid how about this kid? And I'm like, I have looked at 700 names in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Let me look at my thing. Like, let me pull up the notes or something. Like, sorry, I don't remember his record.
That's a lot of information, man. I mean, that's a lot of info. And I even talked to Teague about it too. Like, you guys are collecting information that I could never keep in my brain ever. Like, as far as we all know, like some of the bigger guys in the state, you know, as far as you hear about them quite a bit and people talk about them at tournaments, but like all of the information, because there's like 300 and some odd teams in the state, right? Like 330 some odd teams in the state. No thanks. I want to talk to all the guys, but do I want to sit there and put numbers together like that? Fuck no, I don't want to do that. That is just crazy. So I applaud you guys for what you guys are doing as far as the rankings and things like that. I mean, to me, you know, we kind of talk the better, who's better, not better. It's fun competition. And quite honestly, I even
fun to talk about.
Yes.
Fun to talk about.
Yeah. And well, Ted Skiba put it the best way. He basically said, he goes, rankings are for old whitewashed up dudes. Maybe not white, but just old washed up dudes that are fat and sitting around talking about wrestling. I was like, then that's the best part because it gives us something to talk about because we can't wrestle anymore. You know, so
it's ironic that all the people in those comments are saying, "Oh, we don't need rankings. We don't need rankings." I'm like, well, then why are you complaining about not being able to see them? You obviously feel strongly enough to type away and complain, but you don't care about them. Yeah. It's like, come on.
That's the only thing they went there for, rankings. That was it. Like then go somewhere else, make your own.
The best comment was, "We're ruining the sport." I'm like, yeah, I'm ruining the sport that I love. Like, this is my life. My goal is to ruin it. I was like, just think about that before you type.
Right.
I don't know who said it, but like, yes, I'm pouring my, even my girlfriend the other day was like, "Can you just put your phone down for a second?" I have when I tell you my phone is buzzing from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
It's emails, calls, texts from coaches, parents.
Yep.
I mean, it's nonstop. And it's like, yes, I'm putting my life into this. And I want to ruin the sport. It's like,
I'm going to make money off of this high schooler. I'm going to rip off of his record. Yeah.
It's silly.
So it's funny, like sitting there, like with his name, image, likeness situation with the whole kids getting paid for stuff. Like, someone made a comment on there, and I think I talked about it on one of the episodes where someone made the comment of like, you're making money off of high school kids. Like, how the fuck are they making money off of high school kids? It's like, these kids are number one in wrestling, and they love this stuff too. I mean, don't be confused with any of it. These kids love it.
If I could say one thing,
go for it.
Every kid that there could be kids, and maybe there is, and I would like to think that there's not, and maybe I'm naive, but there could be kids out there that don't like what Jake and I are doing, but every kid in Wisconsin that I have spoken to, and it's been a lot, because kids come up to us after their dual meets and the tournaments, and they're always, hey guys, I love it. I follow you. And they just come up and they say, thank you. Like, thanks for what you guys are doing.
I mean,
like, they love it.
Yeah.
After the Nina duel, we had damn near half the team come up to us. Thank us. When I forgot who got the inside trip, but to the right of me was the Nina bench, and they were like, that's the inside trip of the week. So it's funny that
they did. Yeah.
They're referencing other things that we posted, and I think it was
from the Arquinego duel. Yeah.
They were like, that's the inside trip of the week, and I like kind of took the headset off, and I was like, yes, I like to hear that. So it's fun, and everyone seems to enjoy it, and it's like, it's just silly that people, and maybe it's just a different age, but nowadays you pay for your newspaper, you pay for everything is behind a paywall.
Yep.
And it's like well,
you can't read Wisconsin, the WSN or whatever that, or the Journal Sentinel, like when they come out with like the article, like even just an article for like the teams, for their team stuff. You can't read it, you can't watch it unless you subscribe to their paywall.
Yep.
And it's just
everywhere. It's everywhere. Everything is everything.
Yep.
Yeah. Correct. And it's the newspaper, and at the end of the day, it's all media. It's a different form. It's a different. It's getting delivered in a different way. But at the end of the day, it's all these different outlets are all content creators. It's just a different way of doing it.
Yep.
And it's just how the world works now.
Yep. It is.
The football you watch on TV, like you don't think about you're paying to watch that high school football game of the week, but you pay for cable. You pay for cable.
Right.
It's just a different way to stream
and the school is selling those rights.
Correct.
To them to pay, and the kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I painted it to Teague this way. You know, I think I made a comment to you, Jacob. I was like, you guys need to start getting past Highway 8. You know, you need to get these guys that have like 5 kids in their team. But it is what it is. Like I said, you guys are already traveling all over the place. It's only 2 of you. It's not like you have like 8 people. Yeah. Where you can make a phone call and be like, get to this duel. You guys are doing what you can.
Thankfully, Jake and I have friends, but
good.
Like, we've been able to reach out. Right. Thank God.
Yeah.
We have been able to reach out. Like when I went to Milton, I had texted Pat like a month ahead of time. And me and Pat have a great relationship. Like we're good friends. Yeah. And I was like, will you come? Like Jake's got to be at Ed Steck. Will you come and commentate on this duel with me? And he was so excited. Yeah. He was pumped up. Well, he was pumped. He's like, I'll be there.
Yeah.
People we're only been doing this for a few streaming side of things for a few weeks. And we're already splitting off. I mean, Nate's in Milton. I'm in West Dallas.
Yeah.
It scares me.
Nate's on the phone with me.
He's the tech guy.
Yeah.
He's the tech guy.
Well, so we set up all 6 mats at Stack. Nate's with me, and I'm walking him through everything. I'm like, this is how you do it. Yeah. And every 5 minutes, he's setting up. How do I do this? What do I do here? So I'm watching 6 mats at the Stack while I'm at the Stack. I'm setting up his stream in Milton. So it's just like,
talking to me on the phone, and I'm like, Jake, I can't remember where this
we're trying to get everywhere that we can, but it's still we're only 2 guys, so it's hard. But I feel like we're doing a pretty good job so far.
Well, and so with what you guys do and what you're trying to accomplish and the things that you're going at, I think again, when you look at the ranking side of things, like look at what college guys look at. They're not just looking at one set of rankings. You know, there's colleges that are posting, hey, this guy's ranked here on this one, he's ranked here on this one.
There's 3 sets.
Yeah, there's 3 sets. So it's like, what we're creating that here. Like, what's the issue? You know, eventually, I got a little pissed off when I saw this comment. When's someone going to screenshot the rankings and post them up on here so that way people don't have to go pay for it? I almost ripped that dude's
somebody would do that. I was
head off.
So sad.
I was so pissed. I was like, regardless if you like it or not, don't rip them off. You know, don't do something that you're not supposed to do like that. That's stupid. You can complain all you want, but to start ripping their stuff off and put it on the public, I almost said I'm going to leave it on the podcast here, but I almost said it on there because I was like, that's thievery. Don't do that. Yeah, that is strict because I'll find.
I would have been so sad.
I would hope that
find
no
them.
one's done it, but
I'll find them. I'll take care of business.
An adult and threaten that is kind of childish.
It is pretty stupid.
Like it's just like you got to even if you don't agree with it, you got to respect the time and effort that's going into it, and to think that I'm gonna get these guys. It's like
stupid.
It's just silly, immature.
Don't be mean. Don't be mean.
Don't be mean. Stupid. Don't be mean. What were you going to say there?
I feel like that's almost something that, like, somebody, like, in the practice room, somebody would say as, like, a joke. Like, you're all kind of sitting there,
Who's gonna screenshot
Yeah,
it?
I'm just gonna screenshot it and put it on there and just see what happens.
Yeah, then some stupid kid puts it up. But no, it was an adult. I could tell that was an adult that put that on there. I was a little disappointed in the adult community, that's for sure.
Oh, it happens,
But
I guess.
it happens. So now I had an idea I threw Teague's way. I was like, maybe we should create some competitiveness between us content creators in the state. Maybe there's an event that we all go to and we all are at a table and we do some announcing or something like that. We have people that can watch and they vote on who does the best, and we have like this little podcast award.
Commentator of the week.
Yeah, we have like a little podcast award. Yeah, it's just to create something. Like I said, this is fun. I like doing this. I like talking to interesting people. I think you guys are interesting. Obviously, there's things that are being talked about within the state, so why wouldn't we want to talk about it? But I think it's fun that there's this much. I'm not going to do what you guys do. Yeah, and I've explained this to numerous people. This is what I like doing right here. I like talking to interesting people. I like finding about who they actually are instead of just hearing about someone in a gym and like third, fourth hand, fifth hand story. I want to hear directly from the people. So, and you guys have been around Liam and at RQ, you have Jacob. I've seen you around now, and now with the WI Wrestle thing, I think it's great what you guys are doing. I think you guys,
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you guys can really go far with it. And I think I think the one thing that looks weird, and I think I talked to Ben a little bit about it. I think we it's just Wisconsin Wrestling Online has just kind of eliminated things strangely. And I know that there's going to be hopefully good things in the future that come with, with what you guys are doing. I'm going to do a website that has like a forum on it, where people can go, and I'm actually going to create a page on it.
I mean, back in the day, there used to be multiple forums.
Correct. I'm going to create a room in it, though, that only members can go into, where you can talk shit, where people who can handle it. You know what I'm saying? People who can sit there and be like, hey, I know this guy's going to do this, and they can rib each other and not cry and get hurt. That'll be a locked room where people can go that we know of, that we can sit there and talk about. You can trade information, too, about, I heard from this coach that this kid's doing this. For guys like you, ranking stuff where you can kind of go and find out about what's going on in maybe an injury report. I don't know what you guys are doing with your website, but mine's going to be pretty simple. It's just going to be the podcast and a forum. That's it. I don't have time.
That's sweet.
I don't have time for anything else. Moderate that while I'm at work. But I like what you guys are doing. I love the content. Watching last night, I do apologize for the 5 comments that I made that were in a row that were the same thing.
No worries.
Phone was waking out.
It don't bother us. It's all right.
That Nate guy, I can't remember.
We like it when people comment.
Well, and I loved it. It was fun watching because it was interesting. Those the PD calls that were being made last night, the potentially dangerous calls. So I wanted to go back and watch Herm's match, because what Herm does a lot of times with his half, I mean, he's pulling shoulders. Looks like almost out. Yeah. I wanted to see if they called him.
There was a lot of iffy calls there.
I was going off on him. Like, if that's a tight half, or whatever, it's a tight bar, it's gonna hurt. If he's doing it right, it's gonna hurt. Right. And guess what? That's the point. So if it hurts that bad and you're on bottom, go over.
Give up.
Stretch.
You can't breathe in a cradle that's completely legal. Then go over.
Right.
Or fight it. But that's the point.
Were they yelling?
I've seen matches get stopped because refs were like, no, neither team was yelling.
No. Were the kids that were on the mat, were they yelling out like they were yelling they were hurt?
I didn't really hear. I didn't hear them yelling.
It's weird. It's totally weird, because I know there were a bunch of.
I've seen matches.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I've seen matches stop from a very legal cradle because the guy has when you do a cradle right, it's supposed to choke the guy. Yeah. Like a somewhat, like it's supposed to be really tight.
Yeah.
And the kid couldn't breathe because the kid couldn't breathe because the cradle was so tight. So the ref stopped it. Like,
he'll be okay.
That's legal.
It's just air.
He'll roll over and he'll get pinned.
Right.
Then it's over.
Right. Exactly.
Or don't.
It was just weird watching those calls. It was just kind of odd. So, but I like because we were, my oldest son went to Nina, and he made it to state. Bryce Crook, he wound up being on one of those first stage events and stuff like that when it first happened. We're like, this is pretty cool. It
was a really cool setup.
Yeah, definitely. So it was cool. The angle you guys had, you got to see everybody shake hands. You got to see where the kids walked up to the table. Is a good angle. And there's a lot as far as what you guys.
That was all Nina.
Was that?
Oh yeah.
They put us there. We showed up. That was all Nina. They put us in that corner,
setup,
and they had a setup for us. It was already ready to go, and we were like, "Thank you, Coach Kluskins.
Coach Kluskins.
Thank you, everybody at Nina." Yeah, they had us right there. They had a table for us. They had the Nina thing over it. It was great.
So
Awesome.
did Did Nick Novak wrestle 170? Did he?
He did. Yeah,
Okay.
so he weighed in at like just over 152.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's going to be back at 52. But he went up to 170.
He can bump up.
Liam wants
for
him to
60.
bump up for 60.
Yeah, if he can bump up to 70 from 52, he can bump up one weight class for 60.
There was a lot of bumping on going on. Hey, call him out. I love it.
told
when
you.
guys got the,
I should.
Call anybody
I should.
out. Call it.
I just don't know how that would all go.
With Coach?
I think Coach
You'll be the next Ben. You'll start calling kids out on the forum and stuff.
There you go. We'll have the Wisconsin Wrestling Online and just start forming it.
And like, 'cause I know, I feel like I know what to do in this situation, but I think if it happened, I'd kind of freeze. I'd be like, well, what do I do now? I did everything. I called him out.
You just wait. Then you go wrestle him.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And then the best part, like, you win, great.
Yeah.
You know, you called them out, you won, so that's good. You lose, you lose.
You gotta eat some crow.
Take it to heart. There's gonna be people that word of advice. There'll be people that definitely clap back at you if you lost. But you know what? That's how it goes. Part of the game, baby. That's part of the game.
I think I'm raising a little Ben here.
I
think I have a little Ben Askren in my house. Pretty sure that's what's going on. But, not yet.
Right.
We'll find out in the end when he's like 30 something if it's a little Ben Askren or not. But we won't go there yet. But I love what you guys are doing, man. It's been awesome being able to talk with you guys. If there's things, like I said, I'm doing what I'm doing. This is what I like doing. If you guys ever need help with something, let me know. Obviously I reached out to you guys last night. Just thought it was a little messed up to have to drive home and that stuff.
No, thank you. We appreciate that.
We appreciate it.
We really do.
Could have done the podcast face to face. Could have been fun, but yeah, you got to get home. You guys are driving around, so
it did.
I think I'm going to look into having you guys back on sometime soon. I mean, let's kind of get through part of the season here and watch where some of these teams get to. And so I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Who are you guys picking to win some of these divisions? Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3 as far as teams?
We actually
made our picks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I don't remember what they are. So I know you're going to pick Division 1's Kakana. Who's Division 2?
Kakana. I have Prairie du Chien, and then I have Aquinas in D3.
Okay.
The only one we differed on, if I remember correctly, I have Lux Casco. I ride with the Lux Casco boys. I love them guys.
But aren't you going? You're not going Aquinas in D3.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, you were?
All right.
Fitzpatrick.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they got a freaking stack.
They got a squad. Got a squad. Fenimore is tough.
And I mean, they lost in tiebreakers last year to Coleman, and obviously Coleman went on and did their thing at state. But there should be a lot of action in the postseason. I'm excited. That's the best time of year.
So let's touch base a little more towards postseason time. We can see where teams are at and where these races wind up.
Maybe we'll all make our picks together or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. That was another one I brought up.
Do like a. Like whoever wins,
a pool thing?
We could do like a content creator
instead
pool.
of doing like a podcast of the week. That'll be our trophy.
Yeah,
it's like if you win, you get that.
You get the trophy for the year.
Yeah,
the bragging rights of getting the most state champs.
But then it's
like or something.
It's like with with UFC belt. The next year if you lose,
you lose.
You don't get it.
It just keeps going around. Yeah. See, I work for a metal fabricator where we have a water jet and a laser cutter.
You can make this happen.
So I could make something happen that's pretty sizable that actually feels pretty good to have in your hand, kind of like World Cup Series kind of thing. You're like, hey.
It's not a bad idea.
But so I thought about having us all together on one podcast as well. I thought that would be kind of fun. Me, you, Teague, Steve, all sitting down and bringing Zach down in the basement and have him in the pit. And we can all sit here and hammer out some numbers. I don't envy you guys with that ranking shit, man. This is a lot of information. So hats off, man. I'm going to give you guys all nothing but props for that stuff because I just like doing talking. I get to sit on my fat ass and I get to sit here and look at people on the screen and I get to just talk. You guys are run all over. So thank you for what you're doing. I'm going to have you guys back on. Stay tuned. Jacob, I got your number. RQ, I'd like to be able to be in touch with you too. Are you ever back in the area, RQ?
Yeah.
Do you come up here that often anymore?
So I'm trying. I've been back a little bit, but honestly, like even when I graduated at Oshkosh, I've been back there twice since I've graduated. I've been back to AWA Green Bay more than that.
Okay.
So I have a lot of memories up in Green Bay. I was, short story, but so Coach Wagner, his first year at AWA was the first year that I started going to AWA as an athlete.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So kind of cool. Josh and I know this. We've kind of both told this story to people before, but so that was both of our first years. different roles, coach and athlete. And he was coaching me. He was the one coaching at St. John's.
Yeah.
And then I went up to Oshkosh, and then they wanted to expand, and Josh was going to open up the Green Bay one.
Yep.
And they had the spring and fall. They were doing the satellite camps at Luxembourg Casco and at Bayport High School.
Okay.
Where it was like practices a couple times a week.
Yep.
Before the building opened, and they needed someone else to help Josh like open it up and like coach with them. So they asked me,
nice.
And I was all for it. Yeah. So that's how I got into the coaching part. And so I was traveling to Casco, and that's part of why I love the Casco guys so much.
Have you witnessed the room?
At Bayport too. Not the new one. No, I've only seen videos. The War Checks have shown me videos of it, but I have not seen it in person.
5 minutes.
But yeah, so and then Josh opened the building, and then we do want to do a duel up there.
Yeah.
But I was his assistant and at the AWA Green Bay one, so it's kind of cool. It's like
cool.
Just kind of came full circle. It's like now I'm helping Josh, and so I feel allegiance to there because I was there when they opened it.
Sure.
So like everyone's got their little their team Heartland or their South. I'm like,
yeah.
You know, I'm at these other places, but I spent the majority of my time at Green Bay, and I was there when it started. So I feel allegiance to them.
We hope we can get you back up there. That's for sure. But Jacob, you got a lot going on today. I know you guys are starting to put video together and everything like that. So
yeah, we got to upload the interviews from Nina and stuff last night. So we got to get that stuff up.
I'm gonna go ahead and hit the music here, and I'm gonna start letting you guys go because you guys have a lot to do. Good luck. I appreciate you guys. Don't be
Thanks
strangers.
For having us on, man.
Yeah, totally. Anytime you guys feel like having a podcast, you let me know. I'm down with the Wisconsin wrestling stuff. So cool. Hey, you guys have a good weekend, and we hope to talk to you soon.
See you, Liam. Bye. Appreciate it. Thank you.
See you guys. Thank you.
Talk to you guys later. That was fun.
That was.
All of our episodes are brought to you by Appleton Tattoo, located at 117 South Appleton Street in Appleton, Wisconsin, right off the main drag on College Avenue. You can't miss them. I've had some work done. I have a Celtic cross that covers my back that was done by Jason. We're not done yet. Jason Winans and crew, the artists that he have there, those guys are the best in the Fox Valley. They are definitely one to go to if it's something that you've just been kind of throwing around. They'll make you feel comfortable. It's a very clean environment, very nice crew, and very willing to get done whatever you need done when you need it done. You can message them on Facebook. I know they're on Facebook. You can give them a call at 920-604-8289 and get in touch with Jason Winans and crew at Appleton Tattoo, located again in Appleton, Wisconsin at 117 South Appleton Street, right in Appleton. Very flexible hours, great crew, clean environment again. I would not send you anywhere else except for these guys. Appleton Tattoo.